Welcome to the Wise Idea Weekly Podcast with Christopher J. Harris, focusing on life, leadership, family, marriage, and the church. We are providing tools for our inspiration and wisdom for life. Our goal is to inspire everyday people to live wise lives. If you're new to us, we release a brand new podcast weekly on Thursdays. Thank you for tuning in for this week's episode. Here's our host, Christopher J. Harris.
And then this whole debate about teachers with guns. Like, my wife is in a school system, right? My wife is in a school system. My kids are in schools. Right. I don't know if I want their math teacher walking around with a semi-automatic rifle.
Right.
It's like, really, man?
Yeah, they got enough going on.
I
think the conversation, I know where I kind of clock out. I think we need to have common sense gun laws, but also we also need to increase our security measures. So, and I feel like we can do all of these things.
It doesn't have to be either or.
Yeah, I don't feel like I don't think anybody is going to ask for your weapons unless you got like a semi-automatic saw. Like, why would you have a saw at your house? Why would you have a military grade weapon at your home? Who are you defending? What are you defending? Like I'm talking about a personal handgun. I'm not talking about on an armory.
I was about to say, man, because lots of people, man, they got a basement that's got like thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars worth of military grade weapons, and I'm like, what are you trying to do?
Yeah, I think we should have common sense. And I think that, that it becomes these sound bites of common sense gun laws. I think 80% of the country would want that. But
this doesn't even bring up the conversation around mental health. That's
right.
Another conversation. You got someone that's got bona fide, authenticated mental health realities that they're dealing with, and we're absolutely not making light of it because it's it's a reality of our world, the world that we live in. But that shouldn't. We got to figure this out, man. And I think we got to get to a place where people are really willing, to figure it out. So let's talk about some other news here, man. So guess what else happened in 2018? The royal wedding.
Oh yeah, man! White women love the royal wedding, boy.
Man, white women. My wife woke me up, and she ain't white.
Well, I'm just saying that doesn't mean black women don't love it, but white women really. So that's what we got. White women can love stuff that everybody loves, but white women, they had a brunch. Did your wife have a brunch?
No, sir.
Yeah. Did she have a gathering at her home?
No, sir, but she had
other women.
She had a bunch of group texts going on. That's the same thing.
I go to a gym with a lot of white women, and these folks were having mimosas at 5:00 in the morning to watch the royal wedding. I was like, hey, that's a different level of dedication. Now, I know black folks was very interested in it because of the bride.
Yeah. So my wife woke me up. It was still dark outside. Like, let's watch this wedding. I'm like, are you serious? I'm a preacher. I do enough weddings. I don't need to see this wedding.
Everybody loves fairy tales. Yeah, that's if anybody should be exempt from a wedding, it's a preacher.
people laugh, man. Listen, people laugh.
Preacher never saw another wedding. They both will be fine.
Yeah, man. People laugh, but I'm like, listen, when I do a wedding, man, I want to start the wedding on time. And I tell people, this is going to sound really mean to some people listening to this, but listen, if you start your wedding 20 minutes late, I'm leaving. You're going to have to find you another officiant.
Oh, I was talking as a person that was like there as support. You talking about the one leading the wedding.
As the officiant, I'm leaving because I'm saying y'all had months.
Right.
What time you was going to be here.
Right.
You know you got to get your nails done, your hair done, your makeup done. You already bought the dress. You already know you need to eat. Like, why does the wedding have to start late?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's just is in the system. Lateness. Once you get out of the more people involved, lateness is in the system.
If you're listening to this and you are getting married, start your wedding on time. Okay.
Please do it on time.
Please start your wedding on time. But speaking of that, so what's funny is we had the royal wedding. People watched it, and of course they discussed and critiqued and wooed and all that stuff over every single detail. But I'm gonna tell you, man, Bishop Michael Curry stole the show.
See, I didn't watch it. I did not watch the
You didn't watch the royal wedding?
I call weddings funerals because somebody about to die. You dying.
Oh.
You got to die. Yeah, man. No. I did not. I don't watch everything that everybody else watch. So if everybody's seen it, Mike Goodwin hadn't seen it.
So let me bring you up to speed then. So Bishop Michael Curry. So we talked about double consciousness earlier and code switching. Bishop Michael Curry, he didn't do no code switching.
He was straight. You had a black church right now.
He's like he was at an African American church, brother.
In England.
In England. In front of the Queen.
We about to have some church. Hey, that's what we call church.
Hey, sweating and everything, man. If somebody would have messed around in that chapel with these pipe organs and tuned a Hammond B3 organ, it would have been a wrap. You hear me?
Hey, man, look here. Black folks can do church. We
Yes,
do.
sir.
Hey, we don't do anything.
We do church well.
We do church.
Yeah. Hey, and then he was.
He tuned up.
Huh?
Did he tune up?
He did. Without the organ. Hey, he was borderline getting ready to be too long and turned the corner and said, okay, I'm going to close. We got to get y'all married.
I wonder if his bookings went up.
It did, man. He's got a new book out, man. He got a new book.
Hey,
I'm probably one of the several million people that went immediately on Instagram and Twitter and followed him, because I was like, brother just gave us everything he had. If he don't ever preach again, he's listen, his legacy is cemented.
Whose pastor was that? Like who?
I don't know. I think
in the mix.
He had to be like
That's a home church.
Hey, but listen, the prince was sitting there eating it up, man. He was turning red and everything.
Hey, man, when cultures collide, boy, ain't nothing like it.
Hey, and I felt bad because I'm like, man, if I'm the priest or the rector that's got to come after this, man, I'm gonna seem real dry.
I got to follow this man. I can't follow this. I cannot follow this.
Yeah. Speaking of when cultures collide, here's something else that happened in 2018. Your cousin was at the White House.
Who's that?
Kanye.
Yeezy.
Yeah. Did you watch that?
No, I did not watch Yeezy. I saw internet stuff, man. I see clips. I get my news from Instagram.
You mean to tell me you did not see Kanye at the White House, man?
No, I can't, man. I can't do it. I can't do it, man.
So Kanye.
I remember seeing Steve Harvey lead the White House. I was like, man, I probably won't pay attention to any more celebrities. Hey, speaking of that, forget Kanye. What about all the pastors that went to the White House?
Oh, did you just go there?
We didn't talk about that part. The ministerial fellowship.
Man,
You ain't committed. Hey, speaking of 2018, one of our mutual pastoral friends, he had a rough one. At every turn, he said.
Who was that?
He's here in the fine state of South Carolina. You know what I'm talking about.
Oh, Lord.
At every turn,
Listen.
he just got hemmed up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, transitioning from being a minister to a pastor, that's a whole nother, the evangelist to a pastor. Hey, you got to take a class or something, man. You just can't jump right in it.
All jokes aside though, man, I think social media has changed how we can operate.
Right.
It is totally, so I've been preaching 20 plus years, man. Stuff that I think that I said or preached about 20 years ago, man, if I were to say that now in a sermon,
oh my,
it would go viral, man, and could shut a church down.
For all the wrong reasons.
Whatever it may be. The other day, my wife and I were watching a movie, and it was a funny movie. It's a movie that everybody knows. I'm not going to say the name, but this guy makes a statement in the movie. My wife and I, each other, we look at each other immediately and say, "Oh, Lord, he can't say that now." Like if the movie had been made now, man, the uproar from the statement that he made would be like totally just insane,
Right.
So to your point, I think, churches, ministry leaders, pastors, we've got to, I mean, that's a whole discussion. That's a whole separate discussion anyway, but I think we've got to change how we do, how we handle our communication, I think there's a way to preach the gospel authentically while also being aware that you got people in your audience, man, that are going to be videotaping you or putting you on Facebook Live or, taking a 15-second clip and throwing that on Instagram or,
context, right.
Yeah. And people are not going to have a context to understand, what it is that you were saying or the backstory with it. Just like 2018, guess what? We had the flying preacher.
Right.
And everybody went bananas over this guy, you spending church money, for this illustration, et cetera, et cetera. And they had no idea that this guy had actually rented the trapeze for the Christmas play and just so happened to use it. Number one. Number two, that it was donated, that the church didn't actually have to pay for it.
Right.
Number three, that he uses the visual arts and creativity all the time, in his sermons,
right,
et cetera, et cetera. So I think, man, social media has changed the game. It's changed everything we do. Nike tapped into that as well, because they made a big deal, made a big splash regarding their new Nike ad that came out. Believe in something, even if it means sacrificing everything.
Right.
So this social media ain't no joke, man.
The folks were they cutting the Nike off this?
Yeah.
Sneakers.
You can talk the clothes now.
Hey. And I saw that happen for about a day, and then people were like, man, you know how much Nike I got in my hey, we go be all right. We just won't buy no new Nikes.
Right. Speaking of social media, something else that happened in 2018. The Black Panther, man, Wakanda Forever.
Wakanda Forever. Now that changed my life right there.
Did it?
Man, I saw Black Panther in the theater 3 times.
Did you really?
3.
Why so many?
So I saw it the first time to see if it was if I could bring my family, if I could bring the kids. So I went and did a preview and said, okay, yeah, this is worth bringing the kids. So then we did a whole family thing together. And then I just had to go see it again, man. Like I guess 3 is the number Trinity, man. That's just solidifying how important that is, man. It was such a beautiful representation of art, and it was done in an authentic. It wasn't done in a manner that was disparaging. No one lost their dignity. It didn't seem stereotypical. I mean, it was just solid, man. Just a real well done story from our perspective.
It was a great movie, man, but I gotta admit, like after a few months, I was kind of like Bozeman, man. Like, okay, this like doing the Wakanda Forever symbol and all that. Okay, y'all can have it. Did you see that one picture where he was like at this award show and somebody walked up to him like Wakanda Forever, and he was just kind of like,
he just tired. Yeah, he said, man, give me free. it, it was free.
Yeah, man. Give us some free.
Hey, man, I think you should whisper it. Yeah, you shouldn't have to do the whole symbol. You should just say Wakanda forever, and then just keep moving. But
yeah,
people wanted they wanted the symbolism.
Yeah.
But I think for me, the thing that impacted me the most about the movie was I talked to my daughter, and my daughter loved his sister's role in it. Like, I can't think of movies where my daughter is like, I see myself in this movie. Akita the Bee was probably one of the first ones. I can't think of very many movies where young Black African-American girls have a significant role as not traditional. Like, she was the main researcher. She was the main scientist of a country. So just my daughter seeing that, man, it just takes away limits.
Speaking of that, man, my wife jumped on some social media hoopla this year too. My wife is infatuated with Christmas and everything, all things Christmas.
Right.
She loves it. She starts watching the Hallmark channel, the Christmas Hallmark movies in August. Right, I'm being facetious, but you know,
as soon as they come on, right,
as soon as they come on. So, so my wife goes on Hallmark, and so this year, Hallmark actually had some Hallmark Christmas movies that featured African American families, which I thought was amazing. Like, it's great. Like, do this, And so my wife goes on Hallmark and literally on their Facebook page or Twitter or whatever, and she says, "Thank you guys for diversifying your movies." And somebody responds to her and basically says, like, if it's Christmas, why does it matter whether it's, a white family or a Black family? And of course, this, she jumps into this conversation, which, from my understanding, and I didn't dig a whole lot into it, but from my understanding, it's like thousands and thousands of other people in this conversation helping Hallmark to appreciate and understand why this was important. Yet you got a whole other group of people who, in their minds, like, why is this an issue? And it speaks to your point that if you are a person of color, you want to see positive images of your life represented in mass media. You want to see the African American dad that doesn't fit into your stereotype of an African American man that our culture wants to paint. That they're a real dad. I mean, you and I are that. We are real dads. Man, we changing diapers. We doing school drop off and pickups. We at the school fairs and the assembly.
All that.
Donuts with dads and daughters date with daughters and field trips and kids FaceTiming you, making fun of you with their friends. I mean, the whole 9 yards.
Right.
We all in there. And so you want to see those images on TV and in movies. And so I think that's one of the things that probably because it was interesting, Mike, when I went to see the Black Panther, 95% of the audience in the theater with us were white folks.
Right. So
I was blown away. I was like, oh, okay. Because up until that point, all that, Black people all over the place was like, man, Wakanda forever, Wakanda forever. Right. So I was expecting to see a huge amount of African-American people in the audience.
Well, the cool thing is it's under the Marvel franchise.
Because it was under the Marvel franchise.
And what happens is, let's say Best Man Holiday. Folks will say that's a Black movie. That movie's for Black people. So if it's for Black people, it's not for white people. And that's not what we want to communicate in art. Like, we don't want to communicate, okay, Black art means it's just for Black people. It's like, no, this is a form of art that comes out of our experience. And we want you all to be able to appreciate and enjoy it. So yeah, I think that for the folks that always are like, why does it matter? They are the folks that you typically have representation in these meetings. Like, it's like, and don't ask the question of why it matters. Ask how it matters. it matters that my daughter can sit in a movie and be connected to it. I mean, it's the same thing about the little black Barbie dolls. It's like, yeah, you can play with a white doll, but you don't think that that's your little sister. You don't think that's you. You don't think that that's a portion of or connected to you. Boy,
Yeah.
It,
So Mike, let me switch subjects a little bit, because this was another big deal in 2018. And I'm gonna ask your opinion. I'm gonna put you on the spot a little bit, but this whole conversation has been, for those that are listening, this has not been a scripted conversation, just so y'all know. This is straight up. We got the topics, we looked at what was big in 2018, and we just kind of talking the same way we were talking. We were on the phone. So Mike, why would you say other than the actual issue of sexual abuse, why was the Cosby thing such a big deal for African Americans?
Oh man, Cosby dangerous, man. It's when you create an image. Like, who hasn't been positively affected by the Cosby Show? Like, anybody in our generation or prior and in our generation or that saw it on television was positively affected, unless they're the people that's saying that's not real life. Like, there were some people that's like, I don't know African-American families that have a dentist, a doctor, and a lawyer. There's some of those folks. But in terms of how deliberate he was to create positive Black images on primetime network television, before that, we were maids and we were in the ghetto. We were junkyard owners. To see a well-to-do family that had children that navigated through the challenges of life, whether it's children dropped out of college, moved back home, get married.
They
loved each other. There was always images of like pioneers in the acting community that never really hit it big, like his dad. I mean, his dad and mom, these are African-American actors who been acting their whole life and never had their own sitcom and never had their own, highlight stardom, their individual stardom.
And he created a platform. The Cosby Show created a platform for other African Americans.
Oh yeah,
to be in a way that they may not have been featured in other ways. I mean, just so Nancy Wilson, passed away in 2018. And they were showing an episode of her on the Cosby Show. And what's crazy is I remember that episode, but I had no idea of the magnitude of who Nancy Wilson, the singer, was. I can go back and think about, episodes with, Sammy Davis Jr. on
Ben
there. Ben Vereen and Gregory Hines, and, the list goes on and on and on and on and on. So it gave African Americans something to aspire to. Even the spinoff of the show, Different World. You're like, man, this is what real college life is like, until you get done with orientation for real, and then you're like, oh, wait a minute. this ain't real.
The best parts of college is move-in day up until the day before class. That's what you doing it. Like, you think I'm living the life. Like, no, man, you ain't taking a class. You just hanging out for 4 days.
Yeah. Absolutely. So, I think, my heart goes out for everybody that's been impacted in a negative way, from the Cosby situation. You don't wish that on anybody, but I think that there were several storylines tied into the fact that you just got a gentleman that's going to jail, which of course, the other big news around all of this was the Me Too movement, because you've also got, what's the doctor's name from Michigan? Dr. Nasser, sentenced multiple life sentences because of what he did. And man, it's just, as a husband and as a dad to daughters, you don't wish that on anybody, man. Like, I could not imagine, the pain, the anguish, the layers of this situation. But the other reality is, it's something that has now come to the forefront. The Me Too movement is something I actually did a series of messages on the Me Too movement, and a couple of them I actually put on the podcast earlier this year. So it's something that you guys can go back and listen to. So, Mike, what else? Anything else that you can remember happened this year, man? We got a whole bunch of other stuff on this list, but our time is really getting long now.
Yeah. I need to go and be a father, like you talking about. We gotta get off this computer to our real family. I think the on the run tour, I think that was pretty significant, and it was significant for me because you had Christians that would go into concerts, and other people like, I cannot believe that you were at a concert, and it made me wonder, like. So if they went to a patio,
hold on, Mike, just for a minute. So you said the right thing, but I'm telling you, I was lost just for a quick minute just then. Because when you said on the run tour, you're talking about Jay-Z and Beyonce.
Jay-Z and Beyonce, right?
But I had a mental blank just then, because when you said tour, my mind went to your tour. I was like, okay, he trying to throw like a slide, like plug into his tour just then.
Hey, you just heard the word tour. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, like you threw me for a loop. Speaking of which, man, are you guys touring in 2019 too?
Yeah, so I was on the Human Being tour with comedian John Chris. Check out johnchris.com. I've been opening for John for the last couple of years. But
how you spell that? Because his got a different spelling.
Yeah, it's JOHNCRIST. So it's without the H. He said, get the H out of here. so it's without the H. But yeah, man, this guy did 47 cities from September to December. I did about a third of those cities. And then we're ramping up to do the 2.0 version of the Human Being tour starting at the end of February. So I'll probably do another 12 dates with him. And that's been outstanding. But yeah, the on the road, the Beyonce Jay-Z thing, just how I just saw church folks be church folks. People were talking about how people spend their money. Like, hey man, if I ain't doing anything illegal, if somebody go to a concert, and then you can have all the conversations church folks, we got to get together.
Church folks don't play, man. Somebody messed around. I think it was it Wendy Williams messed around and criticized the Clark sisters and had their album to go platinum in one day again or one weekend again or something like that. Man, the church folks were not having it. You hear me?
Church folks don't mess around. I mean, I ain't see so many angry people about this on the run. And I ain't even go. It folks was hot. I don't like concerts. I ain't the concert kind of guy.
Yeah.
If I got the music in my phone, I'm gonna listen to it. So I listen to a song 17 times in a row. I like it.
I love it, man. So let me just run down a couple things here, man. Some of this was really tragic. Some of this was funny. Some of it was really thought provoking. Just other things that happened in 2018. So you had, of course, the Brett Kavanaugh, Dr. Christine Ford situation that happened. Listen, they had a false alarm of a ballistic missile in Hawaii. Can you imagine that? Somebody
sued about this. I think I heard that someone sued about their pain and suffering or something.
Listen, man, that's some anguish, man. You ain't got nowhere to go on the island, and it's a false alarm?
False alarm.
Hey, man, we need to figure this out.
They hit the wrong button.
You had the comment about shut up and dribble about LeBron. Of course, this was tragic, man. The duck boat tragedy. Like 10 family members died in one tragedy.
Right.
That was horrible. Still praying for that family. $1.53 billion mega jackpot. Listen, I told everybody at our church, go play it. We're going to accept. Listen, I will text you the wire number.
Right. Hey, somebody in South Carolina won that, didn't they?
I believe so. I
started getting texts from people I hadn't gotten from years. Like, what's up, man?
Are you the one, or should we look for another?
We look for another. Hey, if I was the one, this number would not be working. I tell you that much.
Yeah, you wouldn't have got a response. So the question. So actually, though, I think, man, if I'd have won the lottery, I would still keep working, man. I still be doing what I'm doing.
You go business as usual.
Yeah, you wouldn't know that I won.
Hey, you gonna know I won. What? $1 billion? You be like, why is Mike on Good Morning America?
So I learned through that, though, man. What's funny is some states require you to tell that you won.
Yeah.
Some states you can stay anonymous.
I appreciate South Carolina for allowing you to stay anonymous.
Yeah, man. I would love to be able to stay anonymous. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So 2018, nature had its way all year long. Man, we had the fires in California. Lots of hurricanes this year. We had Hurricane Florence in North Carolina, Hurricane Michael in Mexico Beach, Florida. We had the volcano in Hawaii. So, man, lots of that stuff going on.
Tsunami that hit about a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
Not in America, but in India.
Yeah. Lots of states are legalizing marijuana now. And so there's lots of drug sentences and prison sentences, jail sentences being overturned now. This was really interesting to me that they lots of states are now starting to ban plastic straws. I'm like, so what's the alternative?
Oh, I didn't know that.
You didn't know that, man? Yeah. So there's lots of states now that are saying. So McDonald's came out with this new thing where, like, I don't know what the year is. I can't remember what year it is. But by this year, they're going to stop using plastic straws because they talked about how many plastic straws they go through in each of their restaurants across the world in a day. And it was some crazy, like, multi-millions of straws in a day.
Really?
Yeah, man. Totally mind-blowing. Not mind-blowing. So I'm like, okay, so what's the alternative now? So if we can't use plastic straws, we got to start carrying our own metal straws around now, or what is this?
Yeah, that's a little bizarre.
Yeah, that's a little weird. Amazon is taking over. That's no surprise. Jeff Bezos is now the richest person on the planet, $166 billion.
Toys R Us shut down this year. Was that this year?
That was this year officially. They shut down. Bye-bye, Jeffrey.
Dang.
Yeah. Yep. They're gone. Amazon is they're taking over the game. They changing the game, man.
And they making movies. They sending you food, wine.
Yeah.
Amazon gonna have a church in a minute.
So what's crazy is they got this service with Amazon where you can leave a code to your house, and they will actually put the package
in the house.
Will put the package in the house. I'm like, no, y'all not coming in my house.
Hey, we need to do a really thorough screening of the people that you hire.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think that's funny, man. Somebody is gonna figure out how to start an Amazon church.
Hey, it's going down. Let me put that in my notes.
Yeah, somebody's gonna figure that out. All right, so we had the the lynching bill finally got passed through the Congress. Childish Gambino, "This Is America" video. That thing went viral fast. Let's see. Roseanne Barr, her show got canceled because of some of her tweets. Told you social media is changing everything. Melania Trump, she wears a jacket that says, "I don't really care, do you?" on her way to a migrant facility. Like, whoa. She missed that one. Major news, people are cutting the cord on cable. So a lot of people are now starting to stream their cable and stuff like that. YouTube.
2 words, Fire Stick.
Back to Amazon.
Amazon Prime.
Yeah. Did you know that the biggest viral video on Instagram in 2018 was "In My Feelings," the "In My Feelings" challenge?
Do you love me?
Yeah.
Riding the little dance. Oh man.
Everybody was doing it, even people with no rhythm. I'm like, after a certain point, if you don't have no rhythm, you just need to cheer on the people that's doing it.
I was jumping out their car crashing, hitting poles.
All of that. This was a big deal, man, this year, where people were coming out talking about their in vitro fertilization struggles and childbirth.
Right.
Michelle Obama in her book Becoming, she talked about it with her and President Obama, and D Wade and Gabrielle Union. They were very transparent. If you haven't seen that on OWN, I would encourage you to go watch that. That was really a big deal. All right, Mike. So, what books did you read this year, brother?
Man, I don't even know where to get started. I've Deep Work is a book that I'm reading, and I'll finish up. I read Good God, Gay Girl. Was that this year?
Oh, Jackie Hill Perry. That was a good book, huh?
Outstanding.
Yeah.
What's the white awake, white, the pastor out of Chicago. Is it Chicago? Out of Illinois.
Chicago is in Illinois, just so you know.
Yeah, I wonder if that the right city in Illinois.
Oh, okay.
I think it's White Awake or White. Yeah, that might be right.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, it's quite a few in there. I got to go back and look at my Audible and the 12-week year. That was a good one.
Yeah, I got to do a better job at keeping track of what books I read and keep a list of them. Because, of course, I wrote a book this year. My new book came out, so I read a lot of books to get ready for that.
Right.
Church Strategies and Ministry Systems. So I read a lot of church management and church culture and, different systems, ministry planning books and leadership books around that. So that was really fun.
Shoe Dog, that was the story of Nike. That was outstanding.
Okay. Emotionally Healthy Spirituality was a good book I read. Switch on Your Brain by Dr. Caroline Leaf. That was a good book that I read.
Yeah, I've heard about her. She's done some good stuff.
Yeah, Boundaries in Marriage. That was a good book by Dr. Henry Cloud and Dr. John Townsend.
They did the Boundaries in Childhood Parenting too, I think.
Oh, really? I wasn't familiar with that. I reread Dr. Miles Monroe, Rediscovering the Kingdom. That was a great book. The People Factor by Dr. Van Moody. Outliers. I reread that by Malcolm Gladwell because there's some stuff in there that I want to kind of dig back up a little bit. Generational IQ. Now that was really insightful by Shaw. That was a pretty good book that I read. Yep.
Black Privilege. That was outstanding. Charlemagne the God. That's probably not going to be on a lot of people's reading list.
Yeah, I didn't even know about that one. I have to check that one out.
Yeah, it's outstanding. It's if you listen on Audible, you don't listen with the kids in the car. I'll tell you that much.
Oh Lord, okay.
Yeah.
5 Levels of Leadership was a good book that I read. That was really good. The Decision.
Happiness.
The Pursuit of Happiness.
Delivering Happiness.
Oh, Delivering.
The Prophet is the guy. The Zappos story.
Okay. All right, that was really cool. 9 Must-Have Conversations for a Doubt-Free Wedding Day by Gary Thomas.
That's preachers do that. That sounds like. That sounds very specific.
Becoming a Person of Influence by by John Maxwell. Almost anything by Maxwell is going to be good.
Right.
So that was really good. And then of course, like I said, I probably read close to 60 books just to be able to write my book to get that out. So, all right, let's wrap this up by paying tribute, man, to some of these folks. Let's do a roll call of some of these folks that passed away, man, in 2018. Some of these names I was, I totally forgotten that they had passed away this year. But it was, Aretha Franklin, of course, Billy Graham, George H.W. Bush, Barbara Bush, John McCain. Of course, Kate Spade and Anthony Bourdain, Marvel Comics icon Stan Lee. He passed away in November. And the artist that was connected to Spider-Man, Steve Ditko, he passed away. Tom Wolfe, who's an author, playwright Neil Simon, Burt Reynolds. Man, he graduated from Florida State. I remember meeting him, man. So that was really that one kind of hit close to home. Anything Florida State, I'm gonna know about. Or try to stay up on.
Right.
Keith Jackson. Anybody that watched football, man, ABC football, over the last 10 to 15 years remembers that, whoa, Nelly.
Right.
Sportscaster, he passed away. And just a long list of other folks that passed away this year. I mentioned Nancy Wilson. She passed away this year.
The woman that played Laverne, she just passed. Penny Marshall.
Yeah. She just recently passed away at the end of 2018. I'll tell you another person who passed away. And this name, if you live in Florida or paid attention to stories of people who built empires, H. Wayne Huizinga. He was a college dropout man, but he built Blockbuster, AutoNation, and owned 3 sports franchises, including the Miami Dolphins. He passed away, 80 years old, man. Just an incredible story to hear, to hear kind of how he navigated everything. Winnie Mandela, ex-wife of Nelson Mandela, she passed away.
Oh, wow.
Yep. Just a long list. I'm gonna put a link to this long list of folks in the show notes, so people will be able to kind of go back and look at, some of these names of folks that passed away. So of course, when Kate Spade passed away and Anthony Bourdain, it brought up the whole issue of, of suicide and mental health and stability and all those things to the forefront. So that was a big conversation, man. There was lots of things that became major news this year that you kind of go back and you think about it. You're like, whoa. Kofi Annan was somebody that I kind of followed from a distance. The first, Black African to become the United Nations, Secretary General.
Right.
He passed away this year. So that was another big thing. I thought it was interesting that we had, major political figures who passed away, who didn't want the sitting president to come to their funeral. That was a big deal this year. So, all right, man. Well, listen, 2018 is one for the history books, one for the record books. Thank you guys for tuning in, listening to us kind of ramble a little bit. I hope this has been a little humorous, while reflective, while challenging. For those of you that have been listening in, the big idea that I want you to take away here is a couple things. Number one, I want you to pay attention. Take your life off of autopilot. Be intentional about how you spend your time, what you spend your time on. Pursue your dreams. Pursue your goals. Time waits for no one. And pay attention to what's happening around you, because I believe that each one of us are called to be a solution to the issues of the world and the challenges that we're facing every single day. Thirdly, I want you to remember that every single one of us has a hand in shaping the world that we leave to our children and to those that will come after us. And what we do every single day is going to impact that in some way, shape, or form. So, as I say every single week and every single episode as I end it, I want to invite you to live wisely, because I believe when wisdom becomes a part of your life gets better in every single area. Listen, all of 2019, we've got some incredible topics, some incredible guests lined up to be a part of our show and to be a part of conversation that I think are going to be incredibly insightful and a blessing and encouraging and enlightening to you and inspiring to you. And so I want to invite you to join in with us next week as we officially kick off 2019 with an incredible conversation around habits and genius and brilliance. See you next week. Live wisely.
Thanks again for joining us on another episode of the Wise Idea Podcast with Christopher J. Harris. We hope you enjoyed our time together. If you did and would like additional resources and information, you can find the previous episodes, show notes, featured guest information, and more at www.thewисeideapodcast.com. We also invite you to join the conversation on social media. The Wise Idea Podcast is on Twitter and Facebook. Find us at The Wise Idea and at our Facebook group, The Wise Idea Podcast. On Instagram, find us at The Wise Idea Podcast. Our host is also on social media. You can find him regularly on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Pinterest, all located at CJ Harris 1. Finally, if you enjoyed what you've heard, head over to iTunes and or Google Play and leave a rating and review for other listeners to find us. Our podcast is also on Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Thanks again for joining us. We will see you the next time. Live wisely.
Get understanding.